it's Erica from The Broken Spine. Welcome back to my channel, and if this is your first time here, thank you for stopping by. I am going to just hop right on into the video because there are a couple of things that I want to talk about, and I don't have a lot of time to talk about anything because I have some errands to run, i.e. I have to go to the DMV where I'm going to spend probably the rest of my natural life. So anyway, let's just get into it. This video is going to be about what I read in March and what my reading intentions for April are. And I also have a couple of announcements that I want to make. Let's just start off with the announcements because that's one of the things. Those are two things that I'm excited about. By the time you see this video, Joel and I will have already interviewed Daniel Black, the author of Don't Cry for Me, and I will be in the process of editing it. So that interview, I absolutely 100% enjoyed it and enjoyed talking to Daniel Black. It was an amazing conversation. So hopefully it'll be out later this week. The second announcement, which has been going on since February, is the Poppy War Trilogy read-along. And we're on book 3, The Burning God, and that live show will take place on April 24th at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. There will be reading sprints, so if you are not subscribed, make sure that you do subscribe. Okay, so segueing from announcements and into what I read for March, which was not a lot, by the way. I actually only finished 3 things. I started a lot, but I only finished 3 things. One I can't talk about right now because I'm doing it as a project with someone else and we haven't announced it yet. The other 2 books I read, one was The Dragon Republic by R.F. Kuang, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I'm not going to talk about. I will leave it up in the cards and in the description box below, so you can check out that live and hear our thoughts on The Dragon Republic. The other book that I read because it won an Instagram poll and I've been wanting to read it for a while now, and it was These Ghosts Are Family by Maisie Card. I was coming into a reading slump when I read it, and as a result I didn't enjoy it as much as I wanted to, and I'm sure most of it is on me. So I'm thinking about revisiting it later. I did enjoy Maisie Card's writing style. It was in second person. There were times that I felt that the second person was a little clumsy though. It's a story about this man, Abel Paisley, who moves to London from Jamaica, and his friend Stanford Solomon is killed on the docks. They're working at a shipyard or on a ship, something. And so the crewmates think that Abel is the one that gets killed. They're talking to Abel as though he is Stanford. So Abel seizes the opportunity to become Stanford. And then he moves to the States and lives in Harlem. All the while he has a family back in Jamaica, a wife, a daughter, and a son. And he just abandons them, and like I said, he becomes someone else. And he marries another lady. They have a daughter. At this point, when the novel opens, Stanford Abel is an elderly man, and he requests a specific home health aide who just so happens to be his daughter from Jamaica. It's a story about colonialism. There are like I don't know if I want to call them flashbacks, but for lack of a better word at this moment, flashbacks back to a plantation called Harold Town. That's where the plantation was, sugarcane plantation, and descendants of that plantation. So all of the characters are descendants from the Harold plantation. So it's an interesting story. It's an interesting way to tell the story. It's a multi-POV, and I'm sure I did not do that justice at all. I'm still like trying to crawl out of this slump. So hopefully what I've decided to do for April is to keep the books that I'm reading relatively short, except for one which we'll just start off with that. And that's the third book in the Poppy War trilogy, The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. I absolutely loved the first two books. So there were lots of plot twists and everything. I mean, it was really good. So I'm excited to get into The Burning God, see what happens here, how the trilogy ends. And I also started, which I plan on continuing, I don't know if I'm going to finish it this month, but I also started The Love Songs of W.E.B. Du Bois by Honoré Fanot Jeffers. And I got up to song 2 and was enjoying it, but because I was slumpy, I was just like, I'm going to put this down and I'll pick it back up this month. So I'm just going to take my time with it. The next set of books, I have 3 books here that I'm going to try to read for the Tor.com read along that is hosted by Bethany over at Beautifully Bookish Bethany. I have read 2 of these, and the other one I started but didn't finish for some reason. And it wasn't like I wasn't enjoying it. Probably something newer came along that caught my attention, and I just put it down and never picked it up. So that book is Riot Baby by Tochi Onyabuchi. So let's see where I got. I got to page 33. So not very far, and it's only like 173 pages. So not very far, but it's not very long either. So I am excited to get back into this. And the next 2 books that I have for the Tor.com read along, Ring Shout by P. Jelly Clark and Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. So like I said, I've read both of these already, and I want to revisit them because I feel like there's so many nuggets in these 2 little books. I didn't say when the dates are for the Tor.com read along. They are, if I'm not mistaken, April 16th through the 22nd, but I will put it up somewhere on the screen just to be sure. The other book that I have is actually an ARC that comes out. It's scheduled to come out on April 22nd, and I picked it up from work. So, and that's Hope and Glory by Jandela Benson. So this one is about Glory. She is from London, but she lives in Los Angeles. She comes home to London to bury her father. Her brother is in prison, and he's angry with her because she didn't come home for his trial. And she has a sister that lives out in the suburbs, and she's married and putting on the facade of having this idyllic married life, and her mother is on the verge of a breakdown. So Glory is trying to put her family back together, and in the process of putting her family back together, she discovers secrets that could possibly upend and fracture their already fragile relationships. So I'm interested to see how this turns out. And the next 3 books that I have are for a reading challenge that I created a couple of years ago that I realized that I never mentioned here. And it's called the Reading Classics Books Challenge. It started off on Goodreads, and then when Storygraph came along, I migrated over to Storygraph. So I will leave that in the description box if you want to check that out. So, and the first book that I have is Houseboy, which is for a 1-word title, and it is about a Cameroonian houseboy, Tundi, I believe that's how you pronounce it, but it's written in diary form. Tundi, an innocent, fascinated and awed by the white world, the world of his masters. When the head of the mission to whom he is devoted is killed in an accident, Tundi becomes the boy of the local commandant. His dream is all of advancement and improving himself, and to do this, he studies his new world closely, too closely. Gradually, his eyes are opened to its realities, and in the end, this leads to tragic consequences because the Europeans cannot endure the gaze of the man they have destroyed. So the next book that I have is for the prompt West Asian author, and it is The Blind Owl. It's considered the most important work of modern Iranian literature. It's a haunting tale of loss and spiritual degradation, replete with potent symbolism and terrifying surrealistic imagery. And it is it has been considered or compared to the writing of Edgar Allan Poe. The next one that I have is Devils in Daylight by Junichiro Tanazaki, and this one is going to fit, and this one fits the prompt for a translated work. Takahashi, a writer who has been up all night, and he's interrupted by a phone call by his friend Sonomura. Barely able to contain his excitement, Sonomura claims that he has cracked a secret cryptographic code based on Edgar Allan Poe's The Gold Bug, and now knows exactly when and where a murder is going to take place. So anyway, basically, the two try and track down this murder, and instead of calling the police. So that's where that goes. And it's a fairly short novel. It's less than 100 pages, novella really. And the last book that I have on my list is for my goal of reading at least 12 nonfiction works this year, because I need to increase that, and that is Hunger by Roxane Gay. Josh from Josh's Bookish Voyage gifted me this for Christmas, and I've been wanting to read it, so I thought I would put that on my list of books to read. And that is all I have for you. I know that this video was a bit all over the place, but either way, hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure you hit the thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of new content. And I will see you later. Bye.